as somebody who never had any desire at all to be a dad, I am so grateful that I did not pass up the opportunity to have that life experience. I don't think that I wanted to be a father, or I don't think that I even considered the notion until I was probably 37 or 38. Here's something I don't think I've ever shared with you. So my daughter is my daughter, but although I am 100% biologically her father, I prefer and choose not to view her as quote unquote mine. And the reason for this is because I don't like what happens, just naturally happens to people when we begin to think of other people as possessions. When we begin to think of other human beings as our possessions, she's my daughter, my son, that's my sister, it's possessive. And the results of thinking of somebody as being property, the natural results just are what they are. But if you don't think of somebody as being a possession of yours, as being something you own or that belongs to you, you'd be amazed at how this affects you positively and how you treat people more healthfully. So I choose not to think of my daughter as being mine. Rather, I choose to think of her as somebody who has been entrusted into my care for a limited amount of time. Now, here's an important added detail of that. It goes even further than that. I choose to think of her as somebody who has been entrusted to me for a very limited amount of time by somebody who is much greater than me. That makes the difference. The way I view it, she belongs to herself and she belongs to God. And God really is her father, and I am her caretaker father. Her earthly father, of course, but I know that not everybody is religious, not everybody believes in God, but that's the way I choose to think about it. That God has entrusted her to me for a limited amount of time, and I have to answer to him for the job that I do or the job that I don't do. And the limited amount of time that I have to do this is only until she's capable of taking care of herself for herself, of fully caring for herself. So this mindset really helps me view my place in her life more appropriately and appreciatively. See, because she's not mine from my point of view. Because she's not mine, I feel this tremendous honor of being entrusted with somebody so precious. So it's not like she's just some sort of thing that I'm entitled to, you see. And, when I look around, that's kind of the attitude I see. Well, we just have kids. Everybody can have kids. You just boppity-doopity boop and pop, you have kids. And it just kind of seems like this entitlement. And people's attitudes seem to reflect that. Like, I'm entitled to have kids. And you're right, you are entitled, and you can choose to think of it that way. But if that's your attitude, that I'm entitled, and that's the only way you choose to look at it, well then the way that you go about parenting will reflect an entitled attitude. But if you instead choose to think about it as being not something that you're entitled to, but rather as something that you've been assigned the responsibility of, and that's your attitude, well then that's the way you'll go about it. Especially if you think, well, I've been assigned this responsibility by somebody much greater than me. That is the way you will go about it. A side effect of this is that you'll feel the great weight and privilege that comes along with that responsibility. I know that in my case, because I feel like it's such a wonderful honor and I've been entrusted with such a precious thing, I say to myself, boy, I don't deserve this. I never deserved to have such a blessing, to be a father to such a wonderful little girl. And that makes me want to live up to the expectations that the person giving me that responsibility might have for me. Not only do I not want to disappoint the person entrusting me with that privilege, but I also choose to think that there will be an accounting for the job that I do. And what will that all come down to? The accounting for the job that I do, whether I do it well or I don't do it well, or I take it seriously or I don't take it seriously. Well, what it'll come down to is how much I care. How much did I care about that responsibility? How seriously did I take that responsibility? So, anyway, this helps me to take great care in my dealings with my daughter and to not take things for granted, like entitlements, like I'm entitled.